welcome back to the Apartment 6 podcast. I'm Jess.
I'm Marissa.
And I just noticed that where I stopped shaving, there is such a line between like my long hair on my thigh and like where I shaved around my knee up to my thigh. And I just noticed how funny it looks, but you can't see it, so never mind.
You know, I think about that sometimes and I'm like, why do I never shave my thigh? I'm just pretending no hair exists there at all.
It's because the Care and Keeping of You book doesn't tell you to shave your thighs.
Oh my God.
They only talk about shins.
I feel like
I feel like I was recently reading about like why we like at what age you learn to shave and what you're told to shave when you learn that you can shave if you want to. And it's like a common thing that people like don't like I don't know if it's like a culture thing or what, but it's like people don't shave above the knee. But then like you might if you were like, oh, I want to shave above my knee to wear like shorts in like the summer or I like to do it. My thigh hair is blonde, but I'll do it every once in a while. Like when I want to like shave everything and do like a really good like lotion down, like really feel like super soft. Yeah. But anyway, that has nothing to do with anything that we're talking about today.
On shaving.
But anyway, back to over to our roses and thorns. Marissa, what is your thorn of the week?
My thorn is not specific to this week, but it's like a general issue I've been experiencing. And it's just that I've been having some problems with my digestion, bowel movements, that kind of stuff. I've had some...
I didn't know you were going to talk about this.
I've just had some like situations that have made me think like this doesn't really feel right and perhaps I should consult my doctor. So yeah, it's been like really annoying and like nerve-wracking, and I don't want to like explain it because it's like very intimate to talk about your bowel movements. But yeah, it's just been like frustrating for me. But I made a Zoom doctor's appointment for this Monday.
Heck yeah.
So
we love advocating for oneself.
Yeah, so hopefully pretty soon this thorn will be a thorn no more.
Love it.
So, yeah. What about you?
I think my thorn this week would just be probably my lack of movement. It's not that I even really consider it like a thorn, but I guess when I look back on this week and I think about like what went right, what went not great, it's like I haven't gone for a walk. Okay, it's probably only been like a week, but like, and I've gone, so like I walked around a lot today because I was like doing errands, but I haven't been like putting in the time to move at all, and it makes me feel bad. That's it. That's all I really have to say on the subject.
That's real. That is real.
What is your rose?
My rose is that I got a surprise raise at my job this week.
Heck yeah.
I really just like did not see it coming, even though so it was like a special you're doing well kind of raise on top of like the annual like here's what the company can give everybody kind of raise. But I wasn't even expecting the company raise, the company one, just because I don't know, like I don't think my company's has been doing like the best in COVID. Like it's not just because of COVID, but just in general, like, you know, I work in the textbook industry and like no one's buying print textbooks anymore. So it's like a whole shift in the company's like mindset of what we do. So just like between that and COVID, I just like wasn't expecting anything, period. So then to be like, oh yeah, we get like an annual raise. And then on top of that to be like, oh my God, I'm also getting like a special raise, was just very, very nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to be recognized for the job you're doing. And yeah, that's what happened. It was good.
I love it.
What about you?
The weather and how light we had, you know, daylight savings time. So, well, just me and you.
We had it.
So it's been light every day, which is ironic considering I was just saying like I haven't been going for walks, and I was like, well, when it gets lighter outside, when it's still light outside past my work time, blah, blah, blah. But it was a really busy work week, and then I ended every day being hungry and was like, I just need to make dinner and eat and blah, blah, blah. But I can like tell it's spring. So we actually have had some really cold days too.
Yeah.
But it's sunny out.
Briefly snowed one day. Might have been like last Sunday or something.
I think I miss that. I was like, oh, I took a nap on the couch.
Because that was the day
and
that daylight savings time took effect.
Yeah, and I woke up and you were I woke up and you were like, it snowed. I was like, I literally went to sleep. It was like sunny. It turned to rain, and then apparently it turned to snow, and I woke up and it was like just cloudy. Like we had like all the seasons in one day.
Yeah, and then like today was like 60 degrees. So
yeah, it just like feels like spring. And actually today's the first day of spring, or maybe that was yesterday. Now I forget.
Oh yeah, I think it's today. It's the 20th. Yeah, I think the 20ths are usually the like equinoxes or whatever. That might be the wrong word. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Damn butt.
I have no idea. I want to say June is the 22nd though.
Oh, that's
and then
true.
December's the 21st. But they're around this time. It's like the zodiac signs.
I don't know nothing.
Like they're all around like the 20. All right.
I don't know anything about anything.
Should we
I did get a raise.
Not for this podcast though. Should we get into our topics of the day? I'll explain briefly. If you follow us on Instagram, you know that we asked you to submit topics that you wanted our honest opinions on. So it could be people, it could be places, it could be trends, it could be ideas, it could be concepts. We're here to give you our honest opinion. Some of them are like really random and sort of like mundane things, and others are a little controversial.
Hard hitters.
No matter what, we're here to give it to you.
All right. Straight, baby.
Marissa, introduce us to our first topic that we're supposed to give our honest opinion on.
Our first topic is dating apps. No stranger to Apartment 6.
Yeah. If you haven't, you should listen to our last episode, which was a candid conversation on dating, because that's basically like what you need to know about how we feel about dating apps. Like I talked about like the differences between like Bumble versus Tinder versus Hinge. We talked about like some fails, dating app fails, kind of like, you know, meeting people and talking for too long.
Yeah. And honestly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think either of us have ever had any sort of relationship or situationship that wasn't off of a dating app.
Unfortunately, that's true.
Yeah, like we've never had like meet cutes in person or anything, or had like friends set us up with their like other guy friends or whatever.
Nope.
So yeah, it's like very much a love-hate relationship, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the perfect way to describe it. It's like a need-hate relationship. Yeah. So it's like they're great because they get you meeting people that we otherwise wouldn't meet, but it's like they can be really annoying. And it can be like a mixed bag. But we encourage you to use them if you want. Yeah. Or don't if you don't want. And be safe if you do.
Yeah.
That's it.
What is our next topic?
Our next topic is Riverdale, which my honest opinion is that I really like the show, although I'm not at all caught up on it. I don't like, here's what I'll say. I don't like when they get into some of the really like fantasy plot lines. Like I remember there was like this whole thing with like something in gargoyles, and I just was like, oh my gosh, I feel like we're going, like I'm not even paying attention when I'm watching. I feel like I don't like when it goes too far down like a sci-fi fantasy rabbit hole, but I like the characters, and I like the stuff that's like more real life-ish, more like realistic fiction.
Yeah, I'll say this much. So you've seen it. I've never seen it. Mm-hmm. I've never even seen an episode of it, but I know like what it is. I just like can't get into any show with like fantastical elements, which is what you were just describing. Because it's funny, because I feel like if it didn't have those like sci-fi elements, I'd probably watch it. I'd be like, oh, a show about teens in high school? Give it to me. I love shows about teens in high school.
Yeah. But I don't like that, and I've watched it and enjoyed the show.
Yeah, that's true. But for me, like, I know that it probably has some bits that would, like, disturb me. Me, personally. Like, it's probably very mild because it's, like, on TV and, like, young people watch it. But for me personally, I'm sure that there are some parts that I'd be like, ugh, I didn't like that. So yeah, I've never seen it.
I like it. I don't love it, but I really like the cast. I follow them all on social media. Anyway.
This next one is really interesting. It's feeling like you always are competing with the woman around you or your best friend. I feel like I've had friendships where I feel that way, and I've had friendships where I don't feel that way. And 9 times out of 10, the ones where I don't feel that way are healthier friendships.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that the proportions of like you rooting for your friend to do well versus you being jealous of your friend, like you being jealous shouldn't outweigh you wanting them to do well.
Yeah.
And if it does, if that like competition factor becomes like the overwhelming feeling of the friendship or how you see that person, then that's when things get a little dicey.
Yeah, I think it's like if you have a healthy amount of like, you know, you have like a friend who say is like a go-getter, and so they like get some great opportunities, and you're like, ooh, that like really inspires me, or ooh, that really like pushes me to want to do that, if that's what you want. Then I think that like that's maybe an example of like healthy competition. But it should be like, competition is kind of a funny word there because it's like implying
inspiration rather than competition.
Right. It's implying that like you are competing and you're really not. So like I do find that I compare myself to my female friends a lot, sometimes in like a healthy way. That's like, see, we're all so different and that's what makes us great. Or sometimes in like a, see, we all get along so well because we all have this underlying compassion for each other. Like I feel like I pick out similarities and differences between me and my friends, and I am someone who can be like quite competitive or quite jealous, especially with people who are doing things that I want to be doing. So like things that are like related to my field of career. I was gonna say my field of study, and then I was like, that doesn't make sense. Or, you know, things that I would want in my personal life, or people around my age, blah, blah, blah. Like I do find that I can be sort of competitive and compare myself. So yeah, I mean, that's a hard topic. And honestly, I don't have any sort of answer for like how to fix it, how to feel about it, except that like if it's the predominant feeling that you're having around a friend, I would maybe consider confiding in someone else and saying like, do you think it's normal that I am feeling this way about a friend? They might give you a new perspective on it.
Yeah.
Or go ahead.
I also would recommend doing what you listeners might remember me being fairly good at, which is like separating your own life from what's going on in someone else's. Because I think it's really easy to be like, oh, something good happened to this friend and nothing good is happening to me, so that stinks. But it's like, that has nothing to do with you. Like literally nothing. Like them having something good happen to them doesn't lessen the probability of something good happening to you.
Yeah, and it didn't take anything away from you. It's not that they got the good thing that you wanted and like they literally took it away from you. It's just like they're happening simultaneously. Like you not getting something you wanted and them getting something they did want or something like that.
Yeah, and that obviously that's like a goal. Like that's a hard mindset to like always achieve, but when you try to achieve it, you might surprise yourself with like how much better you feel.
I agree. Our next one is BMI.
Oh boy.
BMI. If you want to hear us talk about how we feel about body confidence, you can listen to our 3rd episode called On Body Confidence. And in that we kind of touch on weight and comparison and diet culture and all things like that. But to touch on BMI specifically, I think BMI is only a useful tool in a limited capacity, in a limited setting. I think it's better than just looking at one thing, which is like your scale weight. I think it gives a little bit more insight, but it's not everything. And like, I know that it's a tool, but I don't think it should be like the tool that you live by. The same thing with weight.
I recently heard that BMI was just like created by some like old British guy.
Probably.
Who was just like, this is how we should like measure people. It's just like, it's so, when you think about that, it just seems so arbitrary that like some old British guy one day was like, here's how we should make people feel about their self-worth based on this number.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem isn't even necessarily like choosing to get those readings, you know, your body fat percentage versus, what is it? It's like fat, is it water?
Well,
and then
okay,
skeletal, I don't know.
How,
I'm bad at this shit.
So all I know about BMI is that when you try to like do it online or whatever, you put in your height and your weight and that's it. And it tells you your BMI.
Oh, I've never done that.
So it's like, how?
I've only ever gotten my BMI by stepping on a scale.
But even that, like even when you get it figured out at the doctor, how are they able to read things like fat percentage versus muscle percentage versus water by you stepping on a scale?
So it's called, I think this is what does it. When you step on it, it's supposed to take like your bioelectric impedance or something. It's supposed to go through your body, and it can tell, like through your feet, and it can tell what percentage of you is this versus this versus this. Of course, it's not necessarily going to be completely accurate.
Yeah.
But the point with things like weight and like these types of things, if you're going to be making a change, is not to necessarily set like a goal weight or something like that, but to be like sorry, I'm not explaining myself well. The goal is
We're
like
not doctors.
The goal is to like work by like relativity, I guess.
Yeah,
like,
no, I think it makes sense to me to like judge overall health by the proportions of things within your body rather than just the weight number itself.
Yeah.
But I was always confused about that because, like, you know, when you learn about BMI, this is me generalizing and, like, speaking about my own experience. As someone who has always been, like, a tad bit overweight for, like, my height or whatever, and just always having that in the back of my head being, like, a curvy girl instead of, like, a skinny girl. I am someone who, like, in high school and, like, as a teen would, like, go to, like, www.bmicalculator.com and like put in my info and be like, oh, well, what's it gonna be? Like that's something that would like stress me out, and I was always so confused because I would do it that way, and I was like, what is it even telling me based on my height and my weight alone?
Yeah, I can't.
So
there's no way it would know. I at least I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, so my thoughts on BMI, I think that the problem is more the language around it. So the fact that like if your BMI is over like 30, you're like, for your fat content, you're like considered obese.
Yeah.
Cause like I'm considered obese by my BMI. What the heck?
Yeah.
But even like in like before that, I'm considered overweight. And so it's like I've always been like overweight, but now I'm technically obese. And I'm like, okay. So like but here's the thing. So I have a scale, and you know, it tells me I'm obese. And then my brother was over one day, and he was like, "Oh, you have one of those scales that tells you, you know, all different kinds of things like BMI and skeletal muscle and you know, viscerous fat and things like that." And I was like, yeah. And I was like, it does it on my app. So he stepped on it. My brother works out every single day. He's like he is the strongest person I know. He can do like 100 push-ups in 5 minutes. He can, you know, he is so strong and has worked out in a gym for years. He stepped on the scale and he was considered obese. And if that doesn't tell you any, like,
yeah,
it just, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, we laughed about it. We got like a kick out of the fact that like
the bit of the night.
Yeah. So then like my mom stepped on the scale and I was like, oh, obese. Okay, get off. Like it was like like everyone in the home was obese because like everyone's obese. Okay, not everyone's obese, but I guess my thoughts on BMI is that it shouldn't rule your life. It's not arbitrary, but it's only it's not necessarily important to your health.
Yeah,
I guess that's what I'll say.
I think what I would say is like, I'm sure there's a scientific use for it that I'm confused about because I don't know science, but it shouldn't impact your worth and the way you view yourself.
Right.
Mic drop. Next one, we've got polygamy versus monogamy.
Polygamy. Well, let me start with monogamy.
Oh.
Monogamy.
Alphabetical order.
Monogamy is something.
Right?
Yes.
I was like, if that's wrong, that's so
Oh,
dumb.
did you say alphabetical order?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Monogamy is something that I personally like because
Stamp of approval.
I'm into it. Like, I like to be in a committed exclusive relationship. However, I can see the perks of like an open relationship. Not just I don't mean perks like as in like you can get some on the side. Like, that's not what I mean. Like, I guess when I said it, that perks sounds so like casual. I guess what I'm saying is I can understand the pull towards something like an open relationship, and I think that's totally fine and that people should do that if that's what they want. If that's what you mean by polygamy, sure. But I think if you're saying polygamy as in like you are in committed relationships with multiple people, also, sure, why not? I think that one is more accepted, aka monogamy. But if what you're doing isn't hurting anyone, I don't see why anyone should care who's in your bed, who you're married to.
As long as your partner is okay with it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I too am a monogamist for life. But
never say never.
yeah. But I would never
say never.
Okay, Justin Bieber. I would never judge anybody for
says it again. Sorry.
My new favorite word, never. Never say never, but I just said it twice.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna judge anybody for their social preferences in any way, like what they want to do, who they want to do it with, how they want to do it, whatever. But I am too jealous of a person to ever do that myself, because
sorry.
I would just like compare myself to any other partner that my partner was with, and I don't see how I personally could sustain that in a healthy way.
I was going to say, I don't think of you as being a jealous person, but when it comes to relationships, you have literally compared yourself to someone that someone stopped dating like years ago. Like, you've been like, but I know he still loves her.
Yeah, I guess it's like, I'm not necessarily jealous, but I'm like very insecure when it comes to like myself in any sort of romantic or like sexual setting.
Yeah.
So yeah, comparison is like a huge thing for me. So I would just be comparing myself to any other partner that the person was with. But I will say this too, something that really grinds my gears about people in open relationships is, I hope I don't offend maybe anybody who is or knows someone who is, but when they're on dating apps and they are like seeking like other partners, but they already have one, I'm like, goodness gracious, I just want to find one person, and you already have one
you're
person,
looking for more,
and you're looking for more, and maybe you'll take some of my people. So yeah, that always makes me laugh. But
yeah, I think I guess like, so I can't really speak to polygamy too much because I don't know too much about it. But monogamy as a thing, I think can be a bit overrated. I do think that we really fixate on finding a singular person and then marrying them and being with them for the rest of your life and only being fulfilled by them. And I don't really think that's realistic. Yeah. I think that's like why I think in a way we kind of set ourselves up for failure in that way. And I just know that like I have been in, relationships before, and like I still have eyes for other people. I've like been interested in not pursuing an open relationship, but pursuing, bringing someone else into the relationship briefly, but only for a short period of time.
Read between the lines, friend.
Yeah. I think that's like, and I think that's totally normal. I think like part of being in a relationship, especially if you're in one for a long period of time, is wanting to experiment. And I think sometimes that means experimenting with other people as long as you have both your and your partner's consent.
Yeah, that's the biggest part of it.
Would you mind turning on that light facing it toward the wall.
I'll turn on that light and face it towards the wall.
Thank you. It's too bright in my eyes, but I feel like it's getting a little hazy in here. I can't see. All right. Kale. Kale,
yeah.
Here's what I'll say. Kale, I think, is underrated. I think that people associate kale. It's kind of like, you know how in cartoons they're always like meatloaf again or like Brussels sprouts. But like, I love Brussels sprouts. I love meatloaf.
Can't say the same about meatloaf, but Brussels sprouts.
And I love kale. What the thing for me about kale, I don't think it really tastes like a whole lot when it's really fresh, and if you've massaged it maybe. But also but also so it's a great vehicle for anything else. It's kind of like spinach. Like, you don't really taste it. It's not as like, you know, like arugula is like pretty bitter, like you really taste it.
Yeah.
I find that kale isn't, and so it's a great vehicle for any type of salad. You can go sweet, you can go savory, you can go spicy, whatever. And I really enjoy the texture. I think it's like the most texture you'll get out of just like a green. And so therefore it can be really like even satisfying to look at. Like, you're like, I'm going to eat that whole, it like gives a lot of volume to your salad. And I think it's great. And I'm a big fan of it. And I have some in the fridge right now that I actually need to get rid of because it's old, but that's it.
Yeah, the only experience I have with eating kale at home, at least, because I'm sure I've had it at restaurants in a fancier way, is just buying like those mixed salad bags where it's like kale Caesar salad or like sweet poppy seed kale. And I'll say this past week, kale is cool. This past week, I had one of those salads that was like a kale mix with like other stuff. So that was my lunch. And then some nights I had a taco bowl with romaine lettuce in it. So I was having like both the kale green and also the romaine lettuce green. And what you're saying about kale being more like satiating is very true. Because when
I do love romaine.
When I would go back to the romaine lettuce, I'd be like, yeah, lettuce really like doesn't do much for you.
Yeah.
Whereas like the kale salads I was having were like, there's more to chew on. It's like heartier.
One of my favorite things that I was making a few months ago was like kale with butternut squash, roasted butternut squash, roasted chickpeas, almonds. I was doing some pumpkin seeds. And then I just did a lemon olive oil dressing. Very good.
Yum.
It was like a fall type of moment. So yeah, big fans of kale in this house, y'all.
We stan kale.
Marissa, our next one, please.
We have been asked to provide our honest opinions on hairless cats and long-haired cats.
Hairless cats, ew. Long-haired cats, better.
Sorry to offend, but I don't like any cats.
Yeah, not a huge cat fan over here.
I'm coming out publicly as anti-cat right now.
Are you anti-cat?
I'm anti-cat.
I'm not anti-cat. I'm just pro-dog.
I would never have a cat. When I have cats in my vicinity, they don't make me excited.
Yeah, they don't make me excited either.
I don't want to pet them. I'm so sorry. I know people must be listening to this that love cats and have cats, but I cannot jive with the felines.
Rachel, I really like your cat though.
I know. I'm sorry, Rachel.
Elliot.
Maybe I would like your cat. I've never met your cat. I've never even met you.
She's a good cat. That's
beside the point. Maybe there will be a cat one day that I do love, but for now, I really got to be true to myself and say no cats.
Yeah, I'm not a big cat. I'm not really a cat person. And I'm a dog person, but I'm not like one of those people who thinks every dog is cute. And I always think my dog is cuter than any other dog. So yeah. I don't know. I'm just selfish.
Natural
whatever.
bias.
Contour. Okay, here's what I'll say about contour. I've had a really tumultuous relationship with contour. If you don't know what contour is, it is
like the more times we say the word contour, it doesn't
sounds
feel like
it's
a
not
word.
real. It is when you use either a bronzer or a darker, usually it's like a darker, cooler toned brown color, either cream or liquid or powder on your face to add shadow to your face to make it look like you have like higher cheekbones, or it's
More
just it's
structure to your face.
that's the word. Like you're adding structure to your face, and the opposite would be highlighting. And I have realized that for me, the most natural way to add some structure and depth to my face is not to go in with like a contouring powder that's really like cool toned and dark and try to really like carve out my cheekbones. The way I like to do it is take like a bronzer that's kind of light. So I use like the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, and I like put it where you would put contour, but I kind of diffuse it out. Like I don't have like a harsh line. And it warms up my whole face. So I do under my jawline too, and on my forehead, warms up my whole face. Like add some color back into my face, add some depth to it, because it does sort of like make my cheekbones look raised. But the days of trying to like chisel my face are beyond me, because it never looked right. Because I found like it never really actually gave me like the shadow look. It just made it look like I had a line on my cheek.
Yes. So here's how I feel about contour. I feel like it made people insecure about their face structure in a way that they would not have been if contour wasn't a makeup trend. 'Cause it makes you think like, oh, I'm supposed to have a line on my face. Oh, I don't have that. I guess my face is just fat. You know, like it makes you like think about the things that like might not look great on you if other people are trying to like look the opposite on purpose. And like as someone with a pretty round face, I'm like, contour just doesn't really like work for me because it's not naturally on my face.
Yeah.
So it's like trying to make fetch happen, you know?
Yeah, like trying to put something in the hollows of your cheeks when you don't have hollowness in your cheeks is like...
Exactly. Like I just think that like the best way to approach makeup is to like accentuate the things that are already beautiful about you. Yes. And like, you know, like
here sister,
like, you know, you have certain things that you like your eye color, so you might want to like wear a certain eyeshadow color to like make your eyes stand out. Like that's, I feel like personally that's how I think you should approach makeup, is like just make what's already good better. But contour to me is kind of like change your face shape to something different than it is.
I don't think it has to be that, but I just think that it can be hard if you don't already have like really, like I don't, it's not even that I have like super full cheeks or anything. I just have a round face.
Yeah.
So I can't really create angularness out of a round face.
Exactly.
But if you like, so if you do have that, it's like you're accentuating it. And then for me, I reshaped how I thought about contour. Yeah. Instead of thinking it as like, this is going to give me an angular face, or this is going to give me a snatched jawline. I just kind of was like, this is giving some warmth to my face and some depth. And I like the way I look with it more than without it. Like if I do my makeup and I just do like blush and highlighter, but I don't do bronzer, I don't love the way it looks. Like I like the warmth that adds to my face. So
yeah,
that's why I do it.
Yeah, you got.
But I don't really like contour. Like I said, I put bronzer in the places that you would put contour, but I dust it on really lightly.
Yeah, and if you like to contour, then all the power to you. But I just think it's important to make sure like you're keeping in mind how it's affecting like your self-esteem and the way you see yourself and all that kind of stuff. All right, what's our next topic?
I said the last one.
Oh.
Do you want me to say it? I can say it. I thought you were
on following an order. I forgot the order.
I can say it. I literally just didn't want to like steal your thunder.
Okay, you just say it.
All right. So it's hand washing dishes, and this person says, I hate it, so it's controversial to me. What's funny is like I anticipate it and don't enjoy the anticipation of it. Like I get like so like I don't want to do it, and then as I'm doing it, I'm like, this isn't so bad. Like what's my problem?
I like it because of the almost like immediate gratification. Like you need this dish to be clean, so you wash it. Whereas like I feel like if you're gonna use a dishwasher, at least in my house, we would like go a whole week and like build things up in the dishwasher and like
a whole week.
Yeah, and just like keep them going. Because my mom would also like hand wash some stuff.
See, that's the problem. You got to commit to the gig.
I know, but the thing is, like here we only have like 4 of each type of thing, and we both like use now, especially now that we're both like home all day and like eating all meals from home and using the plates and stuff for all meals, it's like we're constantly cycling through stuff. So I feel like it's nice to just be like, oh, all the bowls are dirty, let me just hand wash one and then it'll be clean so we can use it.
Yeah. I would use the dishwasher more often if Marissa would like to use the dishwasher, but she doesn't like to use the dishwasher. And because she hand washes her dishes, it doesn't make sense for me to use the dishwasher because then the dishwasher would never be full.
Yeah.
So like if we both committed to using the dishwasher, we would like fill it and we could run it every night. But it doesn't make sense to do it. It doesn't make sense for only me to do it.
Yeah.
Unless like if we have people over.
That's true.
I'll like run the dishwasher, or like when my mom's here, I'll be like, oh, just throw it in the dishwasher and I'll just do a load.
Yeah, if we like amass a large amount of stuff. So I like hand washing, but I can see the benefits of a dishwasher.
It's just funny because I feel like most people like would love to have a dishwasher in their apartment. That's like something they look for.
The dishwasher is me.
Oh my God.
It's my hands.
So our next one is liberal arts colleges. And we started talking about this before because we were like, what does that mean though? Because like we went to one, but we don't really get how it's different.
Yeah, it's just like a term. Like I knew that I went to, like I always, if people were like, oh, what's that? I'd be like, oh, it's a small private liberal arts college. But I never knew what was coming out of my mouth. Like I never knew what that meant.
Yeah, like it's supposed to be like you study things that are like creative arts, you know, writing, journalism, psychology, things like that. But like I'm like, what? I tried to look up like what is the alternative, like as opposed to like, because I saw things that were like liberal arts versus university. Then like liberal arts versus fine arts, then liberal arts versus STEM. So I was like, what exactly is the antithesis of liberal arts?
Yeah, like is it just the fact that you couldn't go there and get like a math degree or a science degree?
I think part of it has to do with if you study liberal arts, you are required to take certain gen eds, whereas like if you went to another school you might not take a sociology class and a research writing class and a science class or something I had to take. Like I feel like it's like either there's like a certain amount of like general studies to it or something, but I don't know. So we decided to leave this in here and just say our honest thought is that we don't get it, but that we do have them of liberal arts degrees.
Yeah.
And that we don't know. That's our live reckoning with liberal arts colleges.
All we know is that we don't know. Our next one is people who think COVID is fake. That is just like so stupid. Because like, okay, what's going to come out of my mouth is going to sound incredibly heinous and dumb. That's always a good way to preface something you say, right?
I'm excited now.
Okay. I don't believe this is true by any means, but I could see how people might believe that something very isolated and bad was fake. Like,
oh God.
Not 9/11. I don't want to say 9/11, but like,
oh God. Oh God. This is turning into
with like a lower maybe amount of casualties or stretch of time. Again, I don't believe anything in history is fake. Like I obviously don't believe in conspiracy theories. I don't believe they're true.
I do.
But
certain ones.
Well, I guess certain ones. Yeah, it's different. But like the fact that people could think something that has lasted for a year.
Yeah, like we've all been faking it for
that
a
has
year.
Killed thousands and thousands and thousands of people. That blows my mind even more than the people who believe that like one day was fake, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally I get what you're saying. I get how you are worried about how it sounds, but I think at its essence, what you're saying is like
9/11 was an inside job.
Right. I think like what you're saying is like it's more believable to think of someone looking back at an isolated incident and being like, well, what were we told the full story, or was there more to that
from that one day? Yeah.
Right. But the idea that something that has been so widespread and has affected so many different people, or I would say it's affected everyone, but in different ways, because everyone by now probably knows someone who has had COVID. if not someone who has, died from COVID, hopefully not. Hopefully no one listening has had it or has watched someone die from it, but you probably know someone who has. And
even if you don't, your lives were probably all affected by it.
Yeah.
Unless you thought it was fake.
Right. So it's like, I don't know, the idea that there could be this mass conspiracy theory to implant chips in us or to control us or to, cause an economic downfall that would then allow for an economic uphill.
Right.
Like, I just, like, no, I don't even know what to say. My honest opinion on people who think COVID is fake, I just reread that verbatim
is a big fat middle finger. Yeah,
it's just like, that is so ignorant, so ableist. Also to be like, I hear the opinion that's like, well, it's not that bad as long as you are healthy. That's so ableist to think that way. To be like, well, it's not that big of a deal, and it's clearly being blown out of proportion because healthy people are doing fine and it has a 99% survival rate. Okay, so we don't care about people who are really going to suffer with it?
Yeah.
Because you won't?
I would tell anyone who thinks it's fake to like sit down and have a conversation with someone who's lost a loved one due to COVID.
Yeah.
And like look them in the eye.
I just got to chill.
And say, I think what killed your husband, father, mother, sister, whatever, is made up.
Yeah, like, I think you're lying.
Say that to the person's face looking in their eyes. You can't.
And like, say that to healthcare workers. Literally, I dare you, go walk into a hospital and be like, I think this is all fake.
We dare you.
And see what happens.
Yeah, it's freaking messed up, bro.
Sleeping with socks on.
Hard pivot.
I like to sleep with socks, like fuzzy socks on, if I'm really cold.
Do?
If I'm really cold. I don't sleep with socks on regularly. But if I'm really chilly, like a winter night, or if I'm like sick, I might put like some fuzzy socks on and like a sweatshirt on. But I normally sleep in like a t-shirt and shorts because I don't like to get like tangled in pants. So I sleep in shorts. And then, I usually kick the socks off at some point, but I might put on, it's never like, I never put on regular socks. It's literally like, if my feet are cold, I'll put on fuzzy socks. Yeah. That's it. That's all I want to say.
I have never slept with socks on in my whole life. And it's because of the like isolation from other garments. Like it just feels so random to me to like cover your feet, but then have like maybe your legs be open. Because like even if you're wearing like pajama pants, they're still going to ride up.
So if my feet are cold though, I'm cold.
That's true.
Like,
I'm also like not someone who gets like cold appendages.
My mom has always said that, like, I feel like if the back of my neck or my feet are cold, it makes my whole body cold. Yeah. So there are some nights where like my feet are so chilly that like I can't fall asleep because they're so cold.
But I was going to say, like, I feel like I could stomach the idea of sleeping in a onesie more than the idea of sleeping with like separate socks on.
You are so weird. You have like the weirdest hang-ups.
Like it's not the fact that my feet would be covered. It's just that it would be like just socks.
I would never want to sleep in a onesie. I feel like I'd get like my legs would get like tangled in my sheets as it would like be dragging my sheets as I turn over. But you know what
would be good about a onesie is like,
and they have little foot pads on the bottom to stick to the floor.
Well, maybe some don't. But I feel like I agree with you that I don't like to get like tangled in articles of clothing and stuff. And I don't really like the feeling of like if I'm wearing a shirt, if it like rides up, like I always try to pull it down.
Sometimes I wake up with like my boobs out.
Me too. So a onesie, hear me out, would alleviate that problem because nothing could ride up or fall down.
That's true.
Or get caught in anything. Like it's just one garment.
True.
So
there's something there.
There's something there. There's a thought budding. Maybe I need to look up onesies on the internet.
I got it.
The next one is the 90s coming back versus the 70s coming back.
I think the 90s coming back is fun. It's very like nostalgic. I know that I was only born in 95, but I think I feel like I remember more about the 90s and the early 2000s than other people my age because I had an older brother. So I remember like like I watched TV with him. So I remember like certain shows from that time that maybe like I wouldn't have been interested in, but because my brother was 4 years older, I was watching, like I remember watching like all that with him when really I was like, you know, maybe only like 4 or 5. And so like other kids my age would have been not watching that, but I was because of him. And then you know, I remember like certain toys we had around the house, or like commercials that I saw because again, I was always tagging along with him. So I have like really strong memories from like the 90s and the early 2000s that I feel like other people my age don't necessarily like feel nostalgic about. So I'm like into it. I do think like some people are taking it a little too seriously. I think some people are like changing their entire wardrobe around the 90s, and it's like all right. I'm really talking about like influencers.
Yeah.
And I'm like okay, but like what? But I like it. The 70s coming back is not something I've necessarily noticed, though that we talked about it in my group chat the other day with my friends from high school, which one of my friends from high school submitted this. But I haven't necessarily noticed that in fashion, but maybe in like home decor. Like I feel like there's like some cool sort of like quite literally what I would describe as groovy home decor things happening right now with colors and with textures.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it all. I love like some retro inspired design and style.
Yeah, I am like a big fan of the 70s in terms of like music, and more like late 60s early 70s really in terms of like counterculture and hippies and stuff like that. Like I'm into that in terms of like history and like mood. But I do think that I am into more of the 90s like fashion in terms of like the high-waisted mom jeans and like that kind of stuff. I feel like the 90s are like fashion-wise, they're easier to incorporate into your wardrobe than maybe the 70s are, because I feel like 70s fashion is like
Flare,
like yeah, like bell bottoms and like a lot of like flowy floral dresses and stuff like that. Like it's more of like a statement, whereas the 90s is like, you know, like the black turtleneck and the like light wash high-waisted mom jeans, like those kind of things are a little closer to, I mean, in terms of time, closer to now anyway, but just like just not as hard to go out of your way to incorporate, I guess.
yeah.
But
Some
the
of those
70s
trends
are
never
cool,
die.
bro.
Minimalism versus maximalism. I think a balance is great. I think minimalism is like what I like idealize in my head, but I'm never going to achieve, and that's fine with me. Maximalism, I don't really even know what maximalism means in terms of like, so when I think of minimalism, I think of like living sort of like zero waste. I think of living, you know, with only the essentials. So like, is maximalism like hoarding? I don't think so. I think it's
Well,
more like spending on extravagant things. And
I think you could also apply it to like aesthetics too, like a minimalist style versus like a really colorful, like in the home and in fashion. I think you could, like, I feel like it's, you could apply it to anything really, like the way you live your life, yes, but also like the way things look.
I think I lean more minimal than more maximal.
Yeah.
But I think that it's a balance, and I feel like I look and live in a balance.
Yeah, I feel like I would like to be more minimal, but I just love stuff too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like to get rid of stuff or like finish stuff as much as I like getting new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love like finishing a pot of moisturizer and being like, oh nice, I can clean that out, and either save it because I love to save jars,
Good God,
or recycle it for the planet. Yeah, I love finishing things and like getting rid of them and putting them away or whatever, but I do also love like obtaining things.
yeah.
So it really is a balance. Next one is showers versus baths.
Showers.
I
I like baths. I wish I could take bath. We technically could. We have a bathtub, but it's just not very like, it's like you'd have to go through the hassle of cleaning the bathtub before, cleaning the bathtub after, whatever. And it's like, I just don't want to.
Yeah, that's just not, I know that's like some people's like ideal relaxation activity, but it's just, I've never thought of it that way or experienced that, so I don't I'm never like, you know what I need right now? A warm bath.
I loved taking baths when I was growing up because we had a big jacuzzi tub upstairs in my house. So we have like jacuzzi jets and everything.
Oh my God.
And I really enjoyed it. But
yeah, I feel like
I'm a shower gal, I guess.
Actually, when I was in maybe like high school, whenever Lush was like really a thing and like bath bombs were like all the rage, I remember I got some bath bombs from Lush and like tried being a baths person to like use the bath bombs and be trendy, you know, to like get the picture for Instagram where the bath bombs like looking cool colors in the water, but I never liked the experience.
I used to love the bath. Like growing up, I would like literally stay in there for like an hour and like play and like I just like had like the best time. And then I grew up and I kind of really enjoyed using it for like relaxation, but now I just don't. And now it's like when you get older too, like you really need to like after you take a bath like rinse off and take a shower. So it's just like, my God, we're using all the water.
Cut out the middleman. Just take a shower.
Yeah, it's just I enjoy showers. I find them therapeutic too.
Yeah. Silver or gold jewelry?
Gold.
But for me, it's interesting because I used to be a silver gal until pretty recently. And I have a very concrete reason for switching to gold. And this is, I guess, a very personal fact. But, well, not that personal. But, yeah, I used to do all silver jewelry, but gold earrings for some reason, but silver rings. And I literally switched to gold rings because I was like, one day I would like to have a gold engagement ring and wedding ring. So if I like accrue any like rings in my 20s or whatever that I really love and want to wear for life, I want them to be gold.
This is literally how Marissa's mind works. She's like 100 steps ahead.
I know.
She's like years ahead. She's like, I have to make sure I'm only buying gold rings in case I get engaged.
You think you're a planner, people.
Yeah.
You have not met me. But yeah, gold jewelry, and that's why. And now you know more about me than you maybe should.
I don't have a reason. My mom wore silver, still wears silver, and I grew up just like having silver around me to play with and whatnot, and then I realized I liked the look of gold, so I started wearing gold. And that's that on that.
Warm tones, yeah.
Biden. Marissa, you go first.
What a thing to end on. Here's what I'll say.
Okay. Hit us with the thoughts on Joseph Robinette Biden. I'm kicking my legs in the air, by the way.
I wholeheartedly wanted him to defeat Donald Trump. Obviously, that's no surprise to anyone. But I don't think that he's like my ideal candidate if I was like picking Democrats out of a lineup. Like I was like a Bernie girl through not to be confused with a Bernie bro.
I was gonna say no one ever says Bernie girl.
Bernie girly.
I'm a Bernie girl.
I'm a Bernie girly. Yeah, he was just always like my candidate, I guess. Not that I was like doing any sort of work for him or like campaigning or volunteering or anything, but like I would consider Bernie to be my candidate of recent years. I would have preferred him, I guess, but I was still like so happy to root for Biden and vote for Biden, and so relieved and happy when he defeated Trump.
And what do you think about him now, though?
I do not follow politics as much as I should, so I don't really know right now.
I guess that's what I'm curious about is like if the question is more like what do you like
how he's doing?
How are you feeling about Biden?
Yeah.
I can speak to that a little bit. You know, the first 100 days are the most important. He had a lot of things he wanted to accomplish. It was like 60 something. And a great resource for this is AP News. And if you didn't know, AP News actually supplements a lot of smaller websites. So a lot of times if you're reading a smaller website, like a local news website, for example, you're reading stories from AP News. And they have an article that's like Biden's first 100 days that gets updated, and it has a graphic in it. It's like a data visualization graphic where you can see
infographic.
Yeah, where you can see what the issue was that he wanted to tackle and whether he has started it So like it'll
Whoa.
be like not yet started, in progress, completed.
Hmm.
And he, on his bigger thing, so like getting 100 million people vaccinated within the first 100 days, he's obviously gone over that. He did like a, you know, under promise, over deliver kind of thing. And so in terms of like taking care of the pandemic, I think he's doing a really good job. I don't think that he's perfect. Like I definitely, there are areas that I am looking to see how he maximizes his time in office, and also how he maximizes the fact that we now have the Senate too. And, you know, some areas that I would really like to see some improvement on are like gun control, for example. I would really, and, you know, immigration reform. And I'd like to see him kind of crack down on those. But I think that his leadership when it comes to the pandemic has been really refreshing. But here's the thing I'll say about Biden. He was going to look like a success story no matter what happened. And that's really important. And I think that's like why I feel so relieved, but it's also like you have to recognize the reason you feel relieved is because of how awful the last person was. And so it's important to not just feel like, oh, he's doing a great job. It's like, well, yeah, like he might be, but also like comparatively he's doing a great job. And so he's doing, like the AP News article even said, you know, he's doing what most politicians do, which is under promise.
You're sounding so smart right now.
You want to under promise and over deliver, but Trump was constantly over promising and under delivering. So getting that flipped on us feels incredible, right? So it's like, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point.
I think that he's doing a good job. I feel very conflicted because of the things that have come out about him when it comes to women.
Yeah.
I am someone who believes women and believes women's stories, and yet at the same time rooted for him as a candidate. And I think that has to be okay.
Only because of what it means for who you're rooting against. Yeah.
Right. I think that has to, like, I think it's also okay if you were like, I cannot vote for him, and I can't, not to necessarily vote for Trump, but if you were like, I can't like,
cast a ballot for this man.
Yeah, if you were in a group of people that you don't feel Joe Biden represents you at all, I see you. I completely understand that, and I understand not having the will to vote for him.
Yeah, I think it's a privilege in some ways to be able to base your vote only on who you're rooting against.
Yes.
And not having to, and sort of like taking for granted that even if the person you're rooting for isn't perfect, your level of privilege will kind of exclude you from the real detriments of them not being perfect.
Yeah, and feeling the effects of that. I just remember seeing something, I can't remember exactly who said it on social media, but they were like, don't tell Black people they have to get out and vote when there is no candidate out there for them. And I remember at first being kind of frustrated by that, because I was like, yeah, I totally get that. But at the same time, like, if you could at least think of it as the lesser of two evils and get out and vote. But I think that is just like showing my privileges, that it's easy for me to be like, well, I want to choose the lesser of two evils, which that's not how I see it at all. It really pissed me off when people said that like Hillary Clinton versus Trump was just like choosing the lesser of two evils, because I do not think Hillary Clinton is evil. I do not think Joe Biden is evil. I do think Trump is evil. Sorry. I think that being a flawed candidate is different than being another evil candidate.
Yeah.
And trust me, I know that Joe Biden is flawed, but I think that when you have a long run in politics, you will be flawed. And he is like the only president we've had that has been in politics this long. And so of course, he has supported things that we wouldn't support if he was saying them today, like the crime bill, and he was against gay rights and things like that. So I think I'm talking a lot. My point is, I see Biden for what he is. I guess that's how I feel about him. I see him for what he is, and I still support him as what used to be the Democratic candidate and who is now our president. And I think that I'm just so grateful he won, and I'm hopeful that this will bridge the gap between, you know, Trump and maybe a more progressive candidate like a Bernie, but that we needed this like stepping stone. And I'm hoping that he's the stepping stone. That's what I'll say.
I don't think he is a Band-Aid, and I don't think he is a fix, but I think he's a chance to fix things.
Whoa. You should have written that for his...
All I'm saying is there's a chance. You know, it's not a total fix. It's not like, okay, everything's better now, but it's like a maybe. It's like a maybe things will get a little better.
And speaking of Biden, this podcast is sponsored by Ray-Bans. Just kidding.
Making white guys look cool since 1978.
Did you see that his dog is like getting kicked out of the... Well, last I heard, now I've just seen like... I don't know if he's officially getting kicked out of the White House, but that he like bit a White House employee. So they were like talking about him getting kicked out. It's major. I was like major like the dog, but also major news.
It's major. It's major.
And I'm like, no, like I'm so sad because I'm just like, dogs
just acclimating to his new life.
Dogs are too good. I mean, I feel bad for the White House employee if they got hurt. To be honest, I haven't read an article on it. It was one of those things where like I read the headline kind of thing. I think someone mentioned it at work too, and I was like, oh shit, because I just
give Major a second chance.
Yeah, I love dogs in the White House. So
honest opinion on dogs in the White House, good.
big fan. And I was just bummed out because I was like, damn Major, like Major. I just imagine like him being like, oh, I foiled it.
Oh,
I had one chance.
What did I do wrong?
That's all.
And that's that on all that.
That's that on all the things you want to hear honest opinions about. I hope we've done you well and
such a wide
entertained
range
you.
of lightheartedness and seriousness, but that's good. It's a balance.
Thanks for listening in. I'm going to gently remind you that if you want to support our podcast, you can rate us and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. You can also follow us on Spotify or Apple. I don't know. You can rate us, I think, on any platform you listen on, and follow our Instagram and follow us personally. And
you can also tell your friends that you're listening to a really great podcast you think they'd like.
Yeah. You
could like share it on your Instagram story if you're listening and you like an episode and you're like, friends, listen to this. Just some ideas.
And if you totally disagree on anything we said here today, please give us a DM.
Sound off.
Give us a DM and let us know that you absolutely disagree with our honest opinion on X.
And I'm sorry I said I didn't like cats.
I'm not.
It's true, but I'm sorry if that hurt anybody.
I wasn't as harsh as you, so I'm not sorry for what I said.
I'm usually not so outspoken.
But I'm sorry that Marissa hurt anyone.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry if our podcast hurt you today.
I'm crying. I'm not crying.
Anyway.
What a win. Didn't cry today.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.